All right, back on campus here with Coach Randy Dupree at Gaston. And Coach, you can't see this over to our right. You guys just got some beautiful sweats in, tops and bottoms from Nike. You look like the Georgia Bulldogs. You definitely fit and look like the Georgia Bulldogs pregame now, Coach. Before we dive into last week's game and this week's game, let's talk about the sweats a little bit. So you said it's the first time they've gotten a top and a bottom matching like this.
Yeah, we got top, bottom matching. We got Nike, junior high, up to varsity. Everybody's got it. All our coaches. It's I just want all of us to look alike. We know we did that with our junior high kids. Everything that varsity gets, junior high kids, they got as well. I mean, because I want us to be, we talk about unity and family. I want us to all, look alike. So I think that's really important. When you're trying to create a team atmosphere, is for all of us to be one.
Coach, that's a big deal. I mean, a lot of people overlook things like that, but you guys come out there dressed in one, all black with the G on there. It carries weight and it means something to these kids and the kids in the community. And there may be some kids walking these halls that says, hey man, that's pretty cool. Look to them, man. I want to be a part of that. Just off this uniform of these sweats alone. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a big deal.
Kids love to get gear. I mean, they do, especially when it's free. I mean, all we ask them to do is, fundraising. Some of our fundraisers, they pretty much sell themselves. All you got to do is just ask somebody if they want, one of these raffle tickets, or if you want a discount card. So I just think, it's a different time. Kids care about, different stuff these days, and a lot of it is how they look. And, and some guys think, hey, you look good, you play good, and most importantly, some guys can't afford, Nike top and bottom. I mean, they're expensive. I mean, you're talking about, for the top and bottom both, you're talking about $110. So, that's may not seem like much to some, but that's a lot to many.
That goes a long way, Coach.
Yeah.
I grew up in Bradley Park, so I can tell you right now, it's a big deal. And I want to call y'all Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors. You're on a stretch here, 4 straight road games, and that takes us into last week. You took on a Cedar Bluff team who already had a victory earlier this year over Valley Head, so you knew there's a formidable opponent. You guys come up a little short in that game, but just take us back to last Friday and how it all transpired.
Yeah, I told our kids, that game came down to 4 plays. So it's crazy that you play 4 quarters and 4 plays can decide a game. I talked to Cedar Bluff's head coach yesterday, and that's kind of what we talked about. And, you just never know when those 4 plays are going to be. So that's why it's important to play hard and play with discipline for 4 quarters, because, you never know when that opportunity is going to happen. But, we had a big turnover, and, we had a special teams deal early on that kind of got us backed up. So we got down 14-0 and ended up tying it up, and we gave up a big pass right before halftime, and, they went in 21-14 at half. And, that's what I'm talking to these guys about. We got to go and win the game. I told them, football guys hate us. We're not going to get any luck. The 50-50 calls are not going to be for us. So, we got to go create our own plays and create our own luck. And I think they're understanding that now.
In other words, you got to go out there and be undeniable.
Yes.
Just take it. Don't ask any questions. Don't expect luck. Don't expect anything. Again, you're in the middle of a 4-game stretch. You got to turn right back around and get back on the road on about an hour and 45-minute trip one way to Woodland, who over the years, Woodland's had a good team. I remember just a couple of years ago they were really good.
Yeah.
I watched them in a jamboree there, and they were really good. But what have you seen from Woodland, Coach, in preparing for this week's game?
Man, it's just, I was looking online today, looking at how many kids they have. I think they have like 122 kids in their, 7 or 9 through 11. So, they got about 60, 70 kids less than us, something like that. But the problem is, I mean, they just play real hard and they're real physical, well coached. And it just looked like they have a bunch of guys that want to be out there. And, you know, that's always tough because when guys don't do a whole lot of flashy stuff and they just really get in there and pound it, and that's what we're going to see tomorrow, and I hope our guys are just ready for it.
Yeah, look at their schedule, Coach. I mean, Ranburne only beat them by a score.
Yeah.
And then they beat Victory last week. And, of course, Randolph County beat them, but Randolph County is a much larger than what you just mentioned. So talk about that a little bit, how your guys, you know, this is a very formidable opponent for you guys coming up, but it's also a winnable game for you guys.
Yeah, you know, I think like I said, if we go out there and we play well, you know, I think we can win. The problem is we just have to know and believe that we can win, and we have to trust, you know, in our plan, and just trusting each other. That's what we've worked on all week, is doing our job. Do your job and trusting that the guy beside you is going to do his. And I think, you know, when you do that, you give yourself a better chance at winning.
Coach, quick question. When you're in the middle of a month-long road trip like that, it's got to make things a little tougher. I mean, I know some moms and dads, let's be honest, if it's like my mom, she couldn't afford to travel to watch me play sometimes, but it makes things a little tougher. But also, don't you think there's unity built on the road when you got the bus trips? It's kind of like a militaristic attitude that most people take. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's, you know, I love road games simply because they have less time to sit in here and for me to get on them or to get into stuff. So it's kind of like we pack, we eat, and we leave, you know. So, you know, I actually like that. But what I don't like is when you're on the road for a month, you know. So
yeah, a month's a little different.
Yeah, I've never, in 13 years of coaching, I've never had a 4-game away stretch, especially the distance that we're traveling. Like you said, we're going to Woodland, then we got to go to North Sand Mountain. You know, we just went to Cedar Bluff, then we went up to Asbury. So you're talking about minimum an hour drive to all those places. Cedar Bluff's a little closer than that, but you know, we're talking about long road trips. We're not just loading up on the bus and heading over to Glencoe. You know, so we're traveling. But I think we're building a team bond, and we started that, you know, back in March. But also is learning how to, you know, get on the road and you know, take care of business and how we act, and you know, if we stop somewhere, how, you know, how to treat people and just be respectful. So we're learning a whole lot of things that's going to make us a lot better.
I agree with you, Coach. That's a big thing. I mean, like you said, a month long is a whole different animal, but you're right here in it, and I tell you, it'd make it a lot sweeter if you guys get a victory on the road home. That definitely help. Coach, don't want to chat your head off today, but you got a lot of things going on. I always like to kick this thing back to you before we shut it down, so you can talk about anything program related.
Yeah, like I said, we had a pretty good crowd last week at Cedar Bluff. We had support. I can't thank you guys enough. You know, huge thanks to Miss George. She's very supportive. You know, whatever we tell her we need, she's gonna make sure, you know, we have it. And another guy that I can't thank enough, Jeff Ballou. He goes above and beyond. He texted me this morning. He's like, "Hey, you need anything?" And so that makes you feel good when you're here and you've known these people a few months, and you know, they're just willing to help, and they want this program to be successful, and they want our kids to be successful. And you know, most importantly, our kids are coming to school and they're acting right. We've not had any ISS, any discipline problems, and we had that last year, and we had that when I first got here. So the one thing that I'm really proud of our kids at working so hard to, you know, to do the right thing. And guys, that's going to pay off, and you know, I'm proud of that. And thank you for coming over here. I know you're a busy guy, and you know, you have so much going on, and you know, take the time out of your day to come over here and see us.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you, man, and I'm going to thank S&H Waterproofing again for sponsoring the show and everything they do for high school sports. And We're going to get out of here, Coach. Good luck to you. Another road trip for the Bulldogs, but we're looking forward to talking to you again next week, Coach, hopefully after a victory.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.